Hi, I'm Dr. Hackie Reitman. Welcome to another episode of Exploring Different Brains. And today I'm very excited because it's not often you get at the birth of a new concept. And we're right here in the labor room where being born here is this great concept called positive development. And we've got Yomayra, Lina, and Jen all here. And we're going to get into what this great new thing is. So we're going to start with self-introductions. Yomayra, you go first.
Hi there, I'm Yomayra Mora-Perea. I'm the Business Development Manager for Positive Development here in the state of Florida. And my job is really just to get the word out there, like you said, about this new model of care and our company and all the great things we're doing. Thank you for having us.
Thank you for being here. Lina, you're up.
Hi, I'm Lina Moyano. I am the Clinical Director of Positive Development here in South Florida, and just really excited to have this opportunity to share this and to lead the clinical team and help many families with this model of care that we are offering.
Thank you for being here. And
Thank you for
a
having
veteran
me.
of these podcasts, Dr. Jennie Trocchio.
Hi there, Hackie. It's such an honor to be back. So I am the Vice President, of clinical operations at Positive Development. So I help make sure that throughout all of our 11 sites that things are running smoothly and that we are helping every single child and supporting every single family to the best of our abilities.
Well, since you're the vice president, I'm going to let you explain to our audience in a minute or less, what is positive development?
Sure, a minute or less is tricky, but we can do this.
Well, let's do 2 minutes.
Okay. So we are a new developmental therapy organization. So we are different first and foremost because we are developmentally based. We're not behavioral. So we are really looking at the whole child. We're looking at where they are developmentally. We're looking at the unique ways that each child takes in and processes the world around them. And we work on building those relationships, both us with the children, but also importantly between the parent and child. So that way effective interactions can happen not just in the therapy rooms, but at home throughout daily interactions. And so what we do is we have all services for a family under one roof. We have speech, OT, mental health, and then we have what we call developmental client coaches, which are essentially play partners who go in and help support the family. So with all of these services, we as a team actually work together and communicate with each other to make sure that we are all using the same effective strategies throughout services. So that way it's not the families having to coordinate all these different things. We are able to do it for them. And a really exciting and new piece of this is that Positive Development has made it possible for this type of therapy to be covered by insurance. And that's like groundbreaking because to date it hasn't been. So families have had to pay out of pocket if they want this, but that's no longer the case.
Well, that is certainly a big factor, very big. Do you want to tell us what DRBI stands for?
Sure. So DRBI is Developmental Relationship-Based Intervention. So basically, I know I've come on here before and I know Lina has as well to talk about DIR. And so DRBI is sort of like a big umbrella for all developmental approaches. So now we do DIR, but we also incorporate Play Project and other research-based approaches that fall under that umbrella without us having to be tied to just one model because our kids are so different. So we want to be able to use whatever tools and strategies we can to help each individual.
So Yomayra, you're kind of have to make sure everything's running good in all these different places. How do you set a standard when you have multiple locations?
Well, we work together. We have a very strong business development team, and we all work together to kind of develop a plan. But really, it's different in every state. The insurances, that cover our services are different in every state. Some states take Medicaid, some don't. So really, it's being flexible in that we're sticking with, our model and our branding and everything that we want people to know about positive development, but really being flexible in that every state is different and all the families and all the states are different. So it's been a whirlwind since I've been here, but it's so great getting the word out there. And like Jenny was saying, people don't know that we're covered by insurance, so it's never been an option before. And now that we are, that's a big focus of what I'm doing, is just getting out there and letting people know you have another option. And even your pediatrician or your diagnostician might not know you have another option either. So really just educating the community and getting the word out there.
And one of the things I liked about your whole approach is the importance of the family involvement. And Lina, you want to speak to that a little bit, please?
Totally, yeah. So the way that we understand our clientele is that the client is the family system, not just the child, but really we think that it's important to give the family, the caregivers, the support so they can be successful supporting the child. And I know that sounded redundant, but it's really about supporting the family. So the family can do it. And there's a lot of things that are important to keep in mind, being sensitive to the needs of the family and the parents, as well as we're being sensitive to the needs of the child as well. So it's actually a big component of what we do.
And the unique protocols that you use, how was that developed?
That's a really good question, Hackie. So a lot of our protocols actually started in the very beginning of the pandemic, when we had a core group of amazing professionals who have been studying this approach for years and years, decades plus in some circumstances. So as the world was shutting down, we had an opportunity to work together virtually and to really put our minds together, because so many of us have had our private practices where we were in our own little bubbles, our own little silos. So to get to work with other professionals who are as passionate about it as we are, and to really just brainstorm, what's the best way to do this now that we're not alone, now that we have a team. And so that's really where a lot of our initial materials stem from, is some of those amazing brainstorms.
And what do you call this technique?
Huddling. Maybe. We haven't officially coined it yet.
Oh.
but it really was always a really fun, exciting huddle. And, it might sound ridiculous for some other people that we thoroughly enjoy things like coming together and talking about what do we want on a post-session note. And, then of course we come up with this elaborately beautiful template that also would take an hour and a half to complete. So then we bring it back down. So a lot of sort of collaboration and trial and error and keep working together until we feel like it's working for everybody.
What states are you guys in so far?
We're in California, New Jersey, Illinois, here in Florida. I know we're just opening up in the DC, Maryland area, East St. Louis. Did I miss anyone?
I think you got it covered.
It's really been amazing. I've been here 11 months and we went from like 4 locations to 12 in 11 months. So we're growing so quickly and it's so exciting to be a part of it.
That's great. And I know here in South Florida, I think there's an importance with our demographics here to be bilingual. Mm-hmm. Are your places bilingual in nature?
Yeah, and many of our therapies are bilingual, and we're always sensitive to accommodating families with just having the comfort of speaking in their own language.
As one who lives in a Spanish-speaking household and doesn't speak Spanish, I've been tackling Duolingo regularly.
Keep it up, Hackie.
El perro es muy elegante. Oh,
hey, wow, look at you.
I don't know when I'm going to get to use that one, but that's a good one.
I think that's a good one.
If someone is living in a state, someone in our audience has a child who's a little bit different, like here at Different Brains, listen, it could be autism, it could be ADHD, it could be a million different things. How do they find out if you're in their state, or how can they get you in there?
So really our number one tool right now is our website, and our social media sites is really where we post all our information. It's positivedevelopment.com. And then you can also follow us on social media as Positive Development Therapy. And there you can find all the updates of where we're located and new locations that may be in the works as well.
How do you go about opening up the conversation with the insurance carriers?
Well, so I think one thing that is pretty huge with insurance companies is that using a developmental approach, we can get a lot, we can develop very effective intervention for a fraction of the amount of hours and the fraction of dollars. And so while we like to think that insurance companies really care about each and every individual's well-being, I hope it's not too controversial to say that, you know, at the end of the day, to find out that there's a different approach that is cheaper and more effective, that's really raising eyebrows, and that's helping us to get in the door. And, you know, our first site is here in Florida. And as we made so much progress, it's really great to then share that progress with other organizations, with other insurance companies across the country. And we're also starting to do some research. And so the more numbers come in, they're pretty impressive, to say the least. And that's really helping. So we're able to sort of show it from a number of different perspectives, how effective this type of therapy can be, and why not give it a shot. And everyone who has so far has not been disappointed.
What have you guys found to be the main obstacle?
I think families not knowing. I think, as Yomayra was saying, you know, if you go to your pediatrician, if you go to your neurologist, and everyone is talking about one option, it might be challenging for the families to access this and to get this information of something different. And that's why we've been doing a lot of outreach and, you know, just talking to different organizations, different, you know, groups of people to make people aware that there is another option here.
How can our audience learn more about positive development? Just go to positivedevelopment.com.
Yes, we also have a general number where they'll be connected with one of our care coaches, where they can ask all the questions and kind of, you know, review all the information with someone that can talk them through the process and even help them with the insurance as well. If you'd like, I can give the number. It's 833-587-1784, and that'll connect them with the care coach in their state.
If I can add to that, we're also open to having people coming and visiting the clinic. So if anyone wants to come and check us out, please, you know, by all means, just call and make an appointment, and we'd love to have you visiting our space.
Can you say something about the physical facilities, what they're like?
They're pretty. Right now, I'm one of the therapy rooms. What I can say about the facility is that we have put a lot of heart and a lot of effort into making it feel very welcoming and very homey. You know, sometimes you go to therapy centers that feel very cold and scary. And what we have been intentionally wanting to create is a place where everyone feels welcomed and everyone feels at home. And then with that in mind, whatever skills the parents are learning here, it can be also translated at home because the environment already feels like home.
Aside from the people who are on this call, are there any other the key players you'd like to mention here?
Oh, there's so many. There are so many. We have a truly incredible team. So
But I'm giving you the opportunity to get all of them mad at you by only one or two, you know? So I guess you mean you're safer not mentioning any names, because if you single one of them out, what are the others going to say?
Well, all right, I'll throw a couple out, and then maybe
this is our version of the Oscars when you forget to thank somebody.
Exactly. So I guess I'd like to give a huge shout out to Mike Suiters, who's our CEO, and he's the one who really had the vision and who realized that this was a huge gap in the market. And then our COO, Marianne Nugent, who just is incredible, and this approach helped her child and her family. And so she jumped on board right away. They're both incredible. We have a whole insurance verification team that's just working on getting the insurance contracts. We have an incredible marketing team that's working on getting everything out there. Shout out to Stacy and Jesse. We have incredible clinical directors in each state.
Wow.
All right, so that's my start. Anyone?
And I also want to say that we work a lot with technology, and we have an amazing team working with an app that we have. So, just like to make it easy, everything in one place, people going, and that's also, an important piece of what we're doing. So it's exciting.
That's great. Well, we have followed Jennie Trocchio's career for about 100 years here. Looks good for her age, but is there anything that we have not covered that you guys would like to cover today?
I mean, a big one I would say is to, aside from our website, is to follow us on social media. We have so many things coming in the next few months that, every day we're adding new dates for other grand openings in other states. We have some, Halloween events coming up for some of our kiddos, and just every day we're adding a lot more information. So social media is really where you're going to get the most information from us, but really giving us this platform to just inform the whole community that they have another option. There is another model of care, that, these therapies are not one size fits all, and there's other options. So we thank you.
Well, thank you. Well, Yomayra, Lina, Jen, it has been a pleasure to have you here. We hope you'll come back again and visit us here in our Fort Lauderdale office here. And let's brainstorm about some stuff, because I love when a new concept comes along that addresses something that nobody's really tackling in such a forthright way. So I salute you. Thank you all for being here. Positive development is where it's happening, and keep up the great work, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Hackie.
Thank you, Hackie. Bye.
Exploring Different Brains is a production of Different Brains. Visit us at differentbrains.org.